The following podcast is intended for mature audiences. If you enjoy our work, please like, comment, subscribe, and follow the links in the description. Thanks for your support, and enjoy. Greetings and salutations, listener. A tale of souls and swords and creative souls is coming in the podcast.
Eternally retold every time they release a new one of these.
It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined as always by the boy.
What up?
This is a Two Nerds podcast. Today we're talking about Soul Calibur VI.
It's good. Let's get oh, you tired of that joke yet?
I cared to edit enough to fucking bother. Yeah, in brief, it's good. It's not as good as Injustice 2 in a lot of ways.
Disagree.
I mean, like, polish, production value, voice acting, facial motions.
Yeah, well, like,
overall
you
graphics.
can't really. I don't really. Injustice 2's facial shit is
ridiculous. Yeah,
scary. It's just scary.
If Injustice 2 didn't exist, great job, guys.
I think I like the fighting game better, but I was always destined to do that.
Sure, regardless of how you feel about the visuals and the polish and all that, which, again, this is a game that I don't have budget numbers, but, you know, they've talked about this may be the last Souls game if it doesn't perform super well.
So get out there and fucking buy it, because I like these games.
So I don't know how much budget they had working with, and everything's been kind of higgledy-piggledy. On Xbox right now, for us, not everybody, and not even with enough reproducible issues that we can figure out what the deal is, but every time we try to load the character select screen, it takes about a full minute and a half at least.
Which doesn't sound like a long time, but if you're used to modern load times, that's 6 eternities back to back.
I mean, it's like we were talking about on that one podcast when I mentioned we went back and looked at old WWE games to get stats for creator wrestlers. The difference between 2K14, 2K15, I think, and 2K19 is just ridiculous. Hell, it might have even been 2K16. Regardless, 3 or 4 games ago, it's not that long. It's the same fucking system, but it's ridiculous. Now, this is a bug, and nobody else is having this problem like other consoles, and plenty of people on Xbox are not having this problem. It's also preventing us from playing online, so I can't really talk about, you know, all of the dicks I've run into, literally and figuratively. But it's Soul Calibur.
It's a Soul Calibur game. It's better than Soul Calibur V by a long stretch.
Yes.
I mean, if for no other reason than they let you turn the timer off in rounds.
Right. I wish they still let you map commands to multiple buttons, because I had my Soul Calibur set up. I switched my block to the shoulders, and my instead of that, my A button was
another horizontal.
Yeah, another vertical or another horizontal, whichever made more sense. But like, that's something I'm getting over. It's really not a big deal. And the way they use the shoulder buttons this year for all the different
multi-button attacks.
Yeah, it's really actually better to have those shoulder buttons free. So
because it allows, like, mapping the shoulder buttons to the various multi-button attacks makes certain button combinations just a titanic amount easier to pull off.
Yeah.
Which, much like I love out of Namco fighters, puts the focus on knowing your fighter's moves, like muscle memory style, and knowing your spacing and movement more than memorizing a million button inputs.
Yeah, and it's very natural. They've got that delightful, you know, as they always do, smash tendency where press forward and attack, and your attack goes farther forward. You know, it's a different attack, obviously, a different animation, but you got that little bit of reach.
And various other tiny bits like
Sure.
that. And I've played most of the roster. I haven't played the entire roster because there's a couple of people on the roster who I know I'm not going to like because I've played 5 other Soul Calibur games and I never have. And unless they've wildly changed them, that's not going to change. I haven't touched Taki, and I probably won't.
I'm kind of disappointed by her this year. I think Taki's ninja magic is cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad to see it, but I liked a lot of her faster attacks, and it seems like the focus is a little bit more on the magic now. And it just doesn't fit my hands well. But that's fine, because there's lots of other characters to play, and a few more at least coming down the line with DLC. So
I played the new guy, Darth Maul. Grow is excellent, and if they do another Star Wars... if Soul Calibur continues in the future and they do another Star Wars collaboration, they will use his moveset for Darth Maul, because that's who he is.
There's already plenty of created souls of Darth Maul bearing his moveset with the swords colored red. So.
Because, of course, there is.
And the other returning fighters are similar. Honestly, everybody feels improved. Even my distaste for what they did to Taki, and to a lesser extent Cervantes. It's just different enough that I'm not very good at it.
I don't think I've tried him at all. I think I like Cervantes, but he's usually more your bag, so I just haven't touched him.
I wasn't really into it. There's other guys I've been more into this year, but everyone feels pretty good. Astaroth feels really strong. It makes up for the fact that he's got those stupid normals.
Normally, like, Astaroth feels better this year than previous years.
He doesn't feel ultra slow either. I don't know. Really, all the fighting styles are really fun to play. I'm trying to think of anything else to say about returning characters that's good or bad. I'm glad we have Keelik and not Monkey King, whose name I forget.
Most of the Soul Calibur V characters didn't make the cut into Soul Calibur VI, and
I think none of them did.
Yeah, and that's for the best.
I would have liked to have those movesets for Create a Soul.
We don't need Wolf Fang Fist Boy.
He had cool moves, but I'm not mad they're not around for story purposes. You know, it was just cool to have other options to make your characters about. Like in Soul Calibur, I want to say 3, where they had all those extra movesets.
That may have been 3. That may have been 4.
It might have been 4. Whatever. The one where they had all the extra movesets. They had all the extra movesets. That was nice. I wouldn't mind some DLC package. Even if it's not part of the season pass, I'd pay extra for it. Just to have...
just a couple other, like, say... And this is a weird oversight we saw, because this is actually a good branch. They don't have any... Nobody in the history of Soul Calibur's ever used a mace.
Or a flail.
Or a flail. And that seems like a weird oversight.
Yeah. Always thought it was kind of strange. You got guys with big, huge fuck-off hammers.
But nobody with, like, a mid-sized bludgeoning weapon. It's just weird. We bring that up because we got to talk about the thing which has lit the internet on fire from this game, which is the absurdly good Create-a Fighter system. It's
not even that different from last year's, but it's... In fact, it has less parts right now.
It's attached to a better game.
Yeah, basically. And better graphics, and, it's just...
And this dude has blown my phone up since the game came out. Every day he sends me 12 to 14 new creations from Soul Calibur from the internet.
I've seen everything from your favorite Marvel characters to Final Fantasy characters to
Power Rangers,
Twerp,
to Chad.
Yeah, to Chad and
the Virgin from the meme. Somebody saw Voldo's walk animation and went, I know my purpose in life.
I've actually seen it discussed before that the Chad walks like Voldo, like about a year ago. But I was glad to see that come to fruition. Yeah, it's they've got races now, which is a really cool idea.
I think that's actually just new. I don't know.
It is straight up new.
And the races make sense because they're mostly races that have existed in previous Soul Calibur games. Like they have Lizard Men, because Lizard Man isn't a character in this game, but if you want him, you can make him. And robots, because there were robots in previous Soul Calibur games. I don't know if any of y'all remember that.
Well, I mean, they're automatons, and that's what technically what Astaroth is. He's just more golem-y.
Yeah, he's a golem. Do you remember the years with... I forget which one it was. It might have been 4, might have been 5, might have been 3. I forget. With the ladies, like that lady...
The guest characters.
Yeah, the guest characters, the automatons.
Yep, the one was completely robototic. But...
They got shapeshifters, which is cool, because they've had similar characters to that before, like Necron, I think it was.
I've seen people who've made Necron.
Yep. and just a bunch of other stuff,
it's cool stuff.
And including, and also they added in just your standard fantasy stuff. There are elves and orcs and shit. Okay.
Yeah, really opens up a lot of options. I'm excited to get in there. How it's connected to not having a mace or a flail is, I realized like the last 4, maybe 5 D&D characters I made, I can't play in this game. Usually that's what we do. We'd make old Dungeons and Dragons characters and be like, yeah, now I'm playing my guy in the game. But I have no ability to do that because my dudes use weapons that aren't in Soul Calibur.
Whereas I'm fine. Like my last 3 or 4, I can just make those characters. The ones who weren't spellcasters, at least. If I want to make the spellcasters, I have one option. And that option is too iconically chill for anyone else.
Yeah, let's talk about the bro in the room. Now, you've done a little bit of the story mode.
Yeah, I've only done like a little bit of the story mode.
And I've done a little bit of Libra of Souls, which is the create a character story mode, which has a map and there's like some deeper mechanics to it.
It looks a lot... I was watching it off to the side because, full disclosure, I watched Daredevil. That's what I did with most of my weekend. But I was checking it off to the side when I was like getting up to get food or drinks or whatever. And it looks a lot like Soul Calibur 2's story mode.
Yeah, I think 2 is better than 3. 3 was way deeper and more interesting, but...
it looks a lot like Soul Calibur 2's story mode specifically, because that was the one with Heihachi in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I completely, like 100%ed. So...
And it's fun, don't get me wrong. The plot's a little and the voice acting, as it always is in Soul Calibur, is sort of questionable.
Well, the Japanese voice acting is fine.
Yeah.
The American voice acting is... Whew. They do not hire the peak talents.
Well, the funny thing is, sometimes they do. It's just like most of them are people who have been doing the voices this whole time, and like I see Zosalamel, for example, and I don't remember who voices him off the top of my head. I'm sorry, but like I see that face, I see that body, I know that character, and I want to hear the guy who played Three Dog, or that one Dark Brotherhood character in the Elder Scrolls and Fallout.
Oh yeah, fucking. Nazim.
Yeah, Nazim. Like that's the voice I expect to hear coming out of.
But it's just some guy.
It's just some white dude. He's a famous one. Even it's a good voice. It's just like I'm a little off. However, Talim
Talim's voice acting
sounds
really
amazing
good.
in this game. I really like her. I really like her moveset. I was never a big Talim fan before, but now I'm really into it. Also, small aside, I'm sure we're pronouncing these names in weird fucking ways. Because they pronounce them different in this game than they have in any of the other fucking games. I was listening to you do Keelik's storyline, and they pronounce it as Killik? Yeah. Maybe that's right. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Soul Calibur before was wrong. I don't fucking know.
I also don't care.
Yeah, whine about it in the comments. I'll pin them, all of them. But we were kind of dodging around the glorious elephant in the room. Let's speak on what I understand is the final boss of the Libra of Souls gameplay, and that is Aswell, who is a new character to this game, who looked kind of weird and try-hardy. He, like what was the guy in the last couple games?
Oh yeah, like the ancient king.
Yeah, whatever the hell his name was. It was kind of like, okay, you're neat looking, but.
He even has like a similar moveset where he manifests swords, only instead of it being Soul Calibur and Soul Edge, because he was the super double extra snowflake who used both at the same time. I don't like that character much. I don't know if that's clear.
He's no old cotton, that's for sure.
But it's just these two fucking...
It's random weapons. He's got all kinds of different weapons.
Yeah, it's just these two things that he's... I don't know. Maybe it's both energies from both swords. I don't know.
We haven't done the story,
but I don't care because he's the chillest motherfucker in the history of time, and he's amazing.
He's just fantastic.
I'm rooting for him.
Yeah,
like
he's nice.
your creative character. I don't care. I want Aswell to win.
My swell lizard named Spanish.
Yeah, Spanish the lizard. No, I'm sorry, Spanish. I want Laser's dad to win.
He just says such chill shit. It's like we spent the first couple battles with him being like, "Hello, friends. Let's engage in some fun combat."
And he's happy and he's having a good day and he's not being like overly ridiculously over the top sinister happy like most modern interpretations of the Joker. He's just having a good day. He's just having a good day.
Friendly fella.
He's the term is affably evil.
Yeah.
And yeah, basically.
I'm not even so sure evil, like, because I've got
Definitely evil, buddy.
I mean, like, I'm reading it, you know, but I haven't seen his deeds yet. So just playing the game, if you told me he's a good guy, I'd be like, okay.
He's doing fighting experiments.
Yeah, he's doing his fighting experiments. Thanks, you passed.
Everyone's it's like alt in this game they all have these final finisher moves.
Critical Edge, I think they're called.
That they say stuff and do stuff. It's a cool little cutscene. They say a separate thing if you kill someone with them.
Yeah, you get like little extra cutscene things. That's
which
really
is
cool.
super neat. But if you don't, they say something else, which is also neat because it's like, let's see if you can pass my final test. And he says it in like such a, I'm rooting for you, buddy, way. And then if you don't die from it, he goes, oh, you passed.
It's just so friendly.
As well is just A+.
Yeah.
He's one of the first creative things White did was load him up and make him an alternate dad attire with jeans and a shirt and flip-flops and a bong. It's great.
That's not usually my speed, but like Homeboy's so chill, there has to be a reason for it. I got him an anime shirt and a Hawaiian shirt over that because that's how relaxed he is.
And you changed his energies to green and yellow. The green comes out of the bong hand.
Yeah. I'm living a real life here. Also, it makes his little platform that he stands on green, so it looks like his enchanted fucking lily pad that he flies around on.
Which is just fucking excellent. Your favorite cast of characters is back. Like, it's the Soul Calibur greatest hits, the characters everybody likes. And knows, which is great. And they rolled the story back to like the beginning, which is also good.
They also kind of avoided a lot of the dupes, even the ones with kind of really similar movesets, but that are still distinct. Like, there's only Sophia, not Cassandra.
Even though she had a different moveset, but
but they're really similar. Like, the only one they kept in that vein is Astaroth and Siegfried, but they are so different.
You mean Nightmare and Siegfried?
Nightmare and Siegfried. Thank you.
But they are very, very different. Nightmare doesn't really use stances so much.
A little bit, but not as much as Siegfried.
Whereas Siegfried is all about switching between different stances for different distances of engagement.
Which has been the bag for a while. I mean, they've been very distinct for a long time now.
Which I like.
I like that Raphael's not a vampire in this one too. That's interesting.
I also really enjoy that. I played his story mode, and his story mode is very much the beginnings of that. Mm-hmm. Like, starting down that path.
I saw over there he was talking to Amy, I think.
Yeah. And, like, they've done not much changing, but a little changing of the origins. For instance, if memory serves, and it's been years, so I might be wrong. I'm not super fussed about it if I am, but feel free to correct me. Originally Maxie, I don't know how to pronounce her name, really. I know I say it wrong normally. Jinlin?
Xianghua?
Yeah, Xianghua.
Maybe?
They pronounced it Jinlin or something.
Oh, they pronounce it all kinds of dumb ways.
That's fair. Xianghua. And Keelik all train together. In this, it's just Xianghua and Keelik, and Maxie's a pirate captain who Keelik meets later.
I think that's even like a different lady. Like, I don't think, because before it was all three of the playable characters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that lady was a different person.
Oh, that might be true. Yeah.
I was only half paying attention. It was over there to the side. But
maybe that's why they said it different, because
Yeah.
it's just a different person.
Well, they've said that character's name differently in all kinds of different Soul Caliburs.
Yeah.
Like, it's a matter of contention. But
it's not quite Aerith.
Yeah, and it looks really deep. Like, the stories, you get a lot of story, and that was a big criticism of, like, everything Soul Calibur V wasn't, Soul Calibur VI is.
Yes, that's very true. There is, I mean, you get a lot of story. Sometimes an entire chapter will go by without any fighting, and I don't know if that's smart. Like, I like story in my fighting game, but also I like fighting in my fighting game. Don't become Metal Gear Solid.
Well, and there's so many different options too. Like, you know, you can do the pretty story-heavy story modes, and then Chronicle of Souls, I think it's called. And then Libra of Souls is about 50-50. And then you could just do an arcade ladder.
Yeah, so depending on what mood you're in.
Or online fighting if you're not us and other people with the same glitch. I really want
Also,
to
if
take
you're not
my...
garbage. I'm not going to be fighting online.
I want
I'm
to take
garbage.
my chill ass as well online and just relax with some dudes.
I am trash. I'm not going to bother.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to spending more time with it. But you know what else is nice about this game is that I don't feel rushed.
Much like the most recent WWE game, it's a very deep game, but I don't have that initial must create all the dudes.
Well, so here's the thing too about the WWE game is that there's going to be a next one next October, next November at the latest.
And that's going to be true as long as the WWE is around and these games make money.
With Soul Calibur VI, there might not be another one. And if there is, the last one came out, 5 years ago?
Oh, yeah. If there is another one, it's going to be a long time. So this game's got time to mature on the vine, as it were.
Yeah, I feel like I can set it aside, and I'm not I really should be playing Soul Calibur. I can pick it up exactly when I want to and not feel weird about that. And I think that's fantastic. I'm cool to sit and wait for more creation parts or another character to be released.
That's the benefit of longer development times.
Yeah.
The other benefit is you don't run into games like last year's WWE game where everything's felt sort of unpolished.
Right.
And aside from the stuff in Soul Calibur that's always a little unpolished, and the voice acting, at this point I would say it's just part of their genre. Like their American,
it feels like the early 20-teens, man. I'm all the way back there again.
Soul Calibur's American voice acting is bad. It just is. It's not a mistake. That seems to be what they're aiming for.
It's very much mediocre anime translation.
And you can hear it too, in the way that the sentences are structured in the English. That you can tell.
I doubt it's intentional, but it's got that spirit. You know what I mean? They obviously started with that, and they're going to continue with that vibe, and I dig that. I mean, this is not the same exact studio, but it is Namco. So they've got people who can make games like Tekken 7, which have really clean translations. And one thing I do wish this game had, translations into the native tongues of everybody that Tekken 7 does. I think that's really cool.
Tekken 7 does have that?
I believe so.
Oh, that's cool. I would love that option for Soul Calibur. I would love to just turn on a button so that, Raphael speaks French, and then Mitsurugi speaks Japanese, and Keelik speaks Chinese, and...
That'd be that'd just be really awesome. I like seeing that in games, and it really is enjoyable.
It just also would sound a lot better. It would...
Sure, as much as Soul Calibur, and I'm not knocking them, I know they had financial restrictions, so please don't misunderstand me here.
Yeah, this is not us... I'm going to steal a line from another YouTube channel. This is our prepare for nitpicking section.
Not even nitpicking. I'm talking about if we get another Soul Calibur game and they get a bigger budget, that's what I'd love to see. Because so much of Soul Calibur is about this world-spanning set of characters. They're these iconic figures from different parts of the world, like Aswell's from the Holy Roman Empire. That's really cool.
Nobody ever does the Holy Roman Empire.
I know. I'm like, that's great. Fantastic.
God, his accent would be so cool if they tried.
I like to hear that stuff. I like to hear the individual languages and shit like that. So,
the fighting game itself it's a Soul Calibur game. It's really, really, it's a well-made one.
Yeah.
Again, it's just better than 5. It feels more like Soul Calibur than 5 did.
I don't know if it's just the returning characters because their movesets are changed. Even Raphael, I haven't really played much with him.
Oh, his moveset's different.
It is different, and I've seen, and he's got some cool stuff in there.
Yeah, but it's different. Trust me, it's different.
Or like Zasalamel, who hasn't been around in a while.
Who obviously, because he hasn't been around in so long, they've changed how the game works since then.
He's got some cool ass moves though. I really love playing.
But they've changed around a bunch of movesets, but it's not about it feels more like Soul Calibur. I struggle to find a way to phrase it more clearly because it's a bunch of very small things, like where the characters' attacks tend to fall, how their timing is, all that stuff, spacing, the importance of spacing and stuff, which I didn't feel in the last game as much.
You know what? That's fair. I think some of it comes down to the camera placement. I think some of it comes down to the speed of the game, and even just in the different styles that are available. Grow as a new character has a different weapon that we're not used to seeing in the game, but unlike Zwei, he's not radically different, you know? And unlike Soul Calibur V...
Holding his fucking sword by the...
unlike Soul Calibur V, it's not really drawn out. That's something I did notice about that game, is that you were playing from farther back.
The closer camera, I think, helps. I shout out to the guest character, Geraldo Rivera of Rivertown, the Witchman. He's actually really fun to play. He also feels like I would expect a Soul Calibur version of that character to feel, having played The Witcher very recently. And he's a new fighting style that we haven't seen, which is awesome.
Which, also, thank you for letting us use his shits.
Yeah, guest characters are normally not available for that sort of thing.
No, you can customize them, but no, you can give created characters Geralt's move list. So
and his gear, and that's cool. And like, we haven't had like a European just a regular longsword person. We've had Zwei, who was
that's not a regular
turbo edgelord about it, and then we have the Zweihander wielding Siegfried. But we've never had, have we had just a regular longsword wielding person?
European style? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. You used to be able to just get by with giving, like, a creator fighter Mitsurugi's moveset and giving them, like, one of his more Western style swords he could equip. But no, Geralt uses, like, or Geralt, excuse me, uses...
Geraldo, it doesn't matter.
I believe, I called him Geraldo Rivera of Rivertown the Witchman the first time. But and I also, like, as much as I give that game shit, the idea of that sort of fighter, basically a D&D adventurer who wields like a sword and has armor and uses a little magic, like a D&D arcane fighter. Like if I was gonna make Jerry of Riverburg in 5th edition, I would use an arcane fighter.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. The Eldritch Knight or whatever it's called.
The Eldritch Knight used the shield spell, and then burning hands or whatever for his various signs. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I like him as a guest character because he fits. He feels like he fits into the world way better than some of the guest characters.
Because the other ones were Star Wars, and like Assassin's Creed is close, but.
And yeah, I like Assassin's Creed as a franchise better than the Witcher franchise, but Ezio did not feel as though he fit into the Soul Calibur world as well as Geralt does.
Yeah, he just sort of slides right in there.
I could see him being a part of this. That would make sense.
I see a lot of people on the Reddit, because that's my new thing now. Something new comes out, I follow the Reddit until it gets boring, who are talking about how they really like to see Yunsung and a lot of other classic characters.
Yunsung he's the other closest to like a longsword wielding.
Yeah, he's got that little dao or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'd really like to see some different shit. I wouldn't mind seeing some new shit. Now, I respect Yunsung. I respect some of the other guys returning would be a good idea.
Or at the very least, you know what? If you wanted to... honestly, if they just released a bunch of different fighting movesets and fighter packs, instead of the characters, just release a bunch of movesets, people will create the character.
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, they're already kind of making up... I've seen really good recreations of different outfits from past games for basically everybody but Voldo.
There's probably not the parts for
it. And Yoshimitsu, because the same thing, the parts just are really weirdly specific. But I'd like to see different stuff. You know, as much as I'd love to see a Dark Souls pack, like, in terms of characters, as much as I'd love to see a Dark Souls guest character, I'm pretty sure I can make most of those guys if you just drop me, like, a Dark Souls parts pack.
You know what? You could use Geralt's moveset for Solaire.
Most people do. You could use Siegfried for Sigmire or any of the other Sigs. And Astaroth for Artorias if you wanted. You can already kind of play around in that space. I mean, is it 100%?
I would use Nightmare for Artorias, I think.
Oh, I keep doing that. That's a long story, kids and children. But yes, I meant Nightmare. You're absolutely right. But, I'd rather have a Dark Souls parts pack and some different fucking fighting
I'd
styles.
like to use Astaroth movesets for one of them skinny axe bros in the starting Dark Souls 3 zone.
Shit, you can make those guys now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's like I'm not mad about Aeon Kalkos not being in the game. He had a cool-ass move list, but, you know, when I'm making created characters, sure, 2 axes seems like a good idea, but they also grow wings and breathe fire, so...
And whirl and wiggle around like a lizard person.
Yeah. So I'm cool with it not being a thing. You know, we already have Voldo. He's bad enough.
You know what? Voldo is justified eternally. He created the Chad.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing Dompierre Labello again. He had a unique, interesting
God,
move
he
list.
really did. But he was Robbie Rotten.
Yes. Sure was.
And, like, rest in peace, Stefan.
I don't know, it'd be a fitting tribute. We'd have a lot of really
Yeah.
good...
I mean, immediately the Robbie Rotten and Waluigi creator characters
Sure.
would pop up.
They already exist. It would just be like shift the move list to what's appropriate. What about you, man? Is there something you'd really like to see as DLC?
More move packs.
Yeah.
I really would like that. I would like some stuff we haven't seen before, or some stuff we have. Just release the move pack. If you don't have the license for Star Killer, then if you release a move pack that uses a sword for that and magic instead of the Force, people will just make him. Y'all can do that.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. And there's also, it's easy to shit on Soul Calibur V, because it is. But there's a lot of those fighting styles that I wouldn't mind seeing again.
Not Zwei. Please don't bring back Zwei.
I wouldn't mind
Or
seeing...
person you can bring back. Not Zwei. I do not like that character.
No, I respect that. Or just bring in completely new guys. I don't care. And if the game does well enough, I hope they do my favorite fighting game trend, which is, okay, now it's time for Season 2. Here's another fucking pack of characters.
You know what? Injustice. I didn't actually end up playing that much Injustice 2, much to White's chagrin and horror. But I love that they just kept releasing fighters.
Yeah, and that wasn't... I mean, Street Fighter
until they got to
does
the
same
Atom
thing.
and Ninja Turtles. If Soul Calibur 5 or Soul Calibur 6 wanted to do that, if you just wanted to keep releasing fighters, I'll buy them.
Yeah.
I don't buy DLC for shit, and I'll buy those.
I'll buy that shit up. I'm happy to see it. Or, again, like you said, just move packs, more parts packs. This can last for as long as the Xbox One does.
So not much longer.
Now, all things considered, not as long as any of us would like, I'm sure. I don't think anybody's really hungry for a new console generation. But...
Well, I mean, developers and people who sell consoles.
People who sell consoles, very specifically, yeah. But, yeah, I've got high hopes for the future of Soul Calibur. So far, things are pretty good. If the same team isn't making it, I hope it, goes down into new hands that are just as fond of the property as the folks who made this, because this is a good interpretation. I'd love to see it with the shine and polish that, other AAA games can manifest.
Aside from the voice acting, I don't really know what you're talking. I guess there's a couple bugs.
The graphics aren't super great. That sounds really shitty. That is me nitpicking. Compared to even Tekken 7. Now, there's stuff I don't like about Tekken 7 differently, but that's kind of what Tekken's deal is. But the graphics compared, not quite as good. The rigging and stuff, especially if you compare it to, as I said before, Injustice. Which Injustice is a hard thing to compare it to because it's so fucking beautiful. But if we could get a couple notches up, I wouldn't hate that. They don't have to be the same. But if we could get, when the eventual, if it is possible, Soul Calibur 7.
It's so weird to be on this end of the argument for once. I just don't see what you're talking about.
Hey, that's fair, man. I don't hate it. Don't get me wrong. And the vistas are fucking beautiful. It's mostly the character models and shit like that.
Well, now I'm going to be on the lookout for that because that's an interesting take. Thank you.
No problem. I would also love to see more textures and shit like that for the creative character parts.
That is, I would like to see more stuff available for the creative character parts. Parts packs would get my dollars real fast.
We are getting 100 parts. 100% confirmed. That is one of the DLC things. We will get 100 more parts.
Cool, and then I'll buy more.
Yeah.
I'm just letting you know. I will buy more.
So, yeah, in short, thank you, Namco. Keep it coming.
Yeah, pretty much. Everything's better when nerds talk about it.
Fuck it, let's get hardcore! Blood, pain, we're all insane. Suffer head trauma, destroy